What's going on, guys? You know what it is. It's another Coach Colin podcast. Last episode, the audio, the lips were a little off because I'm using a new mic, and not a new mic, but a new thing in OBS, and it's a little off, and I had to put the same type of settings on and just whatever. We're back, and it's looking good. Getting my Penguin Zero on. If you don't know who Penguin Zero is, go look him up. He's great. But another Liver King clip. It's not even a clip. I just have the podcast loaded up. It's from the Patrick Bet David podcast. I feel like I'm gonna keep on doing stuff like this when I find something that's, in the podcast sphere. Because, like I always say, I'm like Rain Man when it comes to podcasts and content. I'm constantly listening. And if I'm not listening to content, I'm making my own. So I listen to a lot of stuff, and I listen to it repeatedly. I don't know how to turn that swallow thing off. We'll figure it out. But every time that I'm listening to something, I always find value in it. That's why I listen to things over and over again, because it's like you listen to something once and then you listen again, and it's like you find something else. You find a different angle that wasn't really there the first time you listened to it. So with this is a part of the podcast where Liver King gets a little choked up. And he gets choked up at a very key point in his story that he's telling right now. And where we get choked up when we're talking about something, it's not just that the emotion's been bubbling over and like at a random word is when we start getting choked up. When we get choked up, it's because that exact thing that's coming out of our mouth at that time is triggering. It's hard to get out. It's bringing up emotions. It's sometimes the thing that we dreaded the most in the story, or sometimes the thing that we wanted the most in life. And that's why when it comes up, we bubble over with emotion. We cry a little bit. It happens all the time. I'm sure you can think back in life to moments when that's happened to you. And it happens to him in this. I know I have a part of when I tell the story of me getting clean from drugs, and I talk about something that my coach, mentor, and proud to say friend, Oliver, when he once said to me in regards to coaching, because like now I'm a high performance coach, when he said to me, like, how long are you going to wait? When I was like I was getting my first client and I was scared. He's like, how long are you going to wait? And when I was getting clean, I heard his voice kind of say that same thing. Like, how long are you going to wait to get clean, to get off drugs? Like, you gonna wait another 5 years? You gonna wait another 10 years? Like, how long are you gonna wait to be the person that you know you should be? I'm not telling the exact story right now because I will get choked up, because every time I tell it, I get choked up right at that point. And because I get choked up right at the point of how long do you want to wait? Because I feel like in life I've waited so long in order to embrace my actual talents, so long to embrace what's really me in life. And it hurts every time I bring it up. And that's a key thing that happens with people. So when you see someone get choked up, it's good to console them, but also recognize what they're saying in that moment. If you really want to help them, if you really want to be there for them, So anyway, we're going to get into this little Liver King part that he talks about. He's telling a story right now, very open, honest, and vulnerable story about him growing up and getting his ass kicked straight up. Let's go.
And I never stood up for myself. There's this new kid, Chuck, who came to school, another white kid like me. I'm like, I'm going to make friends with this guy. But from day one, he was getting in fights, but he was fighting back, and blood was everywhere. I'm like, fuck, like maybe I could still make friends. And I made friends with him. And then when they knew that he was going to fight back, he made friends with them. And so I no longer had a friend, and they said something about me that he no longer wanted to be my friend. So he comes out into the courtyard, and he starts pushing me, and I'm walking back, and now there's 30 people. There's a big fucking crowd.
Yeah.
Anyways, I tripped over a planter, and I fell on my ass, and I said, you don't want to fight me. I'm a fucking pussy, and I believe that. And here's the thing, again, so I go home and I do the same thing. I'm like, I wish I had somebody to talk to about this. you know, but it was the same conversation I had with myself in the mirror. Like, you're a fucking piece of shit. You're worthless. You know, what are you going to do to change your life? This big thing happened that changed my life. Not too long after that, this kid, Chris Rivera, wanted to pick a fight with me. If he got in this fight, he would join this gang. And so they tell me, hey, there's this fight that you need to be in. And when I say they tell me, my brother, I have an older brother, and his friend Justin, and Justin's mom was around. And they said, you need to be in this fight. And I'm like, what? I've never been in a fight. I've never thrown a punch back. I wish I had the dad that said, hey, listen, it doesn't matter if you get the shit handed to you. You need to stand up for yourself. You need to fight. You need to do this thing for yourself. But nobody told me that. And, you know, I think this might be one of the greatest things that happened to me at this stage of my life. I believe this is my first true rite of passage. What ends up happening is Justin's mom says, you need to fight because you're strong. And then Justin said that too, and my brother said that. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking? Do you even know who I am? Do you know what I'm thinking? Anyways, they convinced me to do it. She drove me to the fight.
Oh, wow.
She drove me to the fight.
Your friend's mom?
In the van.
Oh, Sam.
In the van.
Gangster.
And speaking of gangster, I mean, his gang was behind him. He's standing there, and I get out of the van. My heart's going a mile a minute. I kind of walk up quickly. He's waiting there for me. He starts approaching me. I'm facing him, and I threw a punch from like a mile away. Everything that I had,
Haymaker.
I had no idea what was going on. Yeah. I threw myself to the ground.
Oh, geez.
You know, I wish I could see this today.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
No. And comment on it.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
If you could see this. Again, I know it came from a mile away.
Yeah.
I know I gave it every fucking thing that I had, you know, and so I threw myself on the ground so hard I could have knocked myself out probably.
Oh, God, that's hilarious.
And this guy Chris comes up to kick me because I'm on the ground, and I was able to catch his foot. I was able to get a hold of his legs. I was able to feel how strong I was, and I manhandled him.
That's awesome.
And I put him on the ground, and I manhandled him so effortlessly that I pinned both of his elbows to the ground underneath my knees. I have this hand on the neck. I don't know if you've seen this shit in the movie, but it's like all from the fucking movie.
Yeah.
And so I'm getting ready to do my thing, and I looked in his eyes, and I saw this pathetic, scared as fuck, hopeless, helpless kid. And so I saw me, and I couldn't do it. There's no fucking way I could do it. And just the other day, I'm in the car driving to go say my apology video. And I'm telling myself this story. Why? Why do you have to overtrain? Like, what are you dealing with? And I'm telling the story, and I'm getting choked up, and I'm like, holy shit, like, I'm able to go deep on this. I know I can talk about this. I know that this is, you know, big part of that issue. And I couldn't do it. And I got up, and he didn't. There was no retaliation whatsoever. There was a mutual understanding here. There was a mutual understanding between us. The gang's throwing rocks and cracks the window on the minivan. We get back inside. She says, "I'm proud of you." Justin says, "I'm proud of you." My brother says, "I'm proud of you. You're strong." And you know what I knew right then is worthless as I had felt up to that point. I can do that. And if I can do that, what else am I capable of? And I knew that it had been my working out that had led me to that. And now I finally got the first chance in my life to feel what that felt like, to actually be strong, to have some sense of fucking control. Thank God, you know, that this happened. But I will say this started this maniacal drive to be in the gym, to do this, to double down. It's like, I know what my roles and goals are in life.
Your roles and goals. I like that. I'm going to start using that. Your roles and goals. You got to know your roles and goals. But you see that point that he got choked up? He got choked up right at the point where he was telling Patrick Bet-David and his co-host there that somebody was proud of him. And he grew up without his dad. And when somebody tells you, and I know because I didn't have my dad growing up, when somebody tells you that they're really proud of you, when they like say it really honestly, and you've never had that because you don't have your dad saying that throughout your life at different intervals and different accomplishments, it hits in a completely different way than you would think. So it's just something I noticed. He got really choked up right at that story, and I love that story that like he manhandled. Just the fact that I just love the fact he got choked up at the fact that a few people said that they were proud of him, because it shows that the whole time he was looking for a dad, you know, and what you see with him, this character that he's playing, this plays right into somebody who hasn't had a dad around. Like when you're in the hood, or like when you see like the quintessential, like, you know, angry black guy, you know, which I've been in life, and you see them acting very macho and, you know, very braggadocious, very big, gregarious attitude, if that's even the right word, I don't know. Grandiose, maybe that's better. Maybe that's better. I don't know. But when you see that, and you're like, why is this guy acting like that? Oh, he thinks that's what alpha is. It's like, usually, especially in the black community, like I know I have the typical story, single mother story. It's because we didn't grow up with dads. So we don't know we don't know what men are supposed to be like. The men that we see are on TV, or they're on the corner, you know. Our friends' dads don't really, you know, if you're some guys are lucky, but you're, you know, often not. Your friends' dads are tied up with your friends, their sons. So they don't have time to take on a new son out of nowhere. You know, that takes a special kind of guy to do that. And I'm sure some people have that, but like I never did, and a lot of us never do. So we don't know what men act like. So we go for the most rambunctious, I'm using all these words, we go for the most animated version of what we think a guy is like, what we think a man's man is like, because we have no idea. So it's funny that he acts like the Liver King, and he gets big, and he takes his shirt off, and he subprimal. Like if you see him in the older videos and stuff, it's because he doesn't know. He doesn't have a dad to be like, what are you doing? Stop doing that. You know? You ever notice that? Like when kids are like when young men are like from like 12, maybe even like 11 to like 18, there's a lot of their dads looking at them going, what? No, don't do that. Hey, no, listen. Like there's a lot of that. It's a lot of like, get your shit together. What are you talking about? You know? And that's a whole part of them. It's like, you know, the Masons. I shouldn't even bring up Masons, but it's like an unpolished stone. You know, that's what the kids like, very rough stone. And every time the dad's looking at him saying, no, that's not how that works. No, that's not how that works. Every time the father does that, it's kind of him stepping in and saying, it's kind of him smoothing him out. Every time he goes, what? No, that's not how this works. This is how this works. It's like taking sandpaper to a rough stone and just polishing it, smoothing it out, making those edges real smooth, making those corners really sharp. And if you don't have a dad, you don't get that. Yeah. Or if you have a dad that's like too stoic to say those type of things, then you won't get that either. And it weighs on us guys for a long time. Like the Liver King is, what is he, 44? He's almost 50 years old. He's still getting choked up. He has 2 sons. He's still getting choked up about somebody saying that they're proud of him. And believe me, it's not fake. He's not that good of an actor. Believe me. You can tell he's different right now. You know how you can tell? You can tell by his demeanor. You can tell by his stance. He's big and he has big shoulders naturally. But since he's been on this podcast run and since he's had to make this apology, there's kind of like a, not like a shrinking, but a kind of like a, okay, I got to explain myself. You know, when somebody's a little ashamed or a little, you know, sorry, you know, they get a little hunched. He's kind of presenting that demeanor a lot. And I'm sure that'll wear off once he starts realizing that he's apologized enough. But yeah, it's a rough thing to go through as a guy, not having your dad around. So you take steroids, you know? No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I just wanted to go through that in the podcast. Like that's a really, like with what I said at the beginning, what I'm saying now, it's like, I don't know, man. It's just something in this podcast that stood out to me and just really made me look at it and think that some other guys could benefit from this as well, you know. And again, just taking on this integrity, finding his integrity through fucking up is like the typical man story. Like I think every guy goes through something where it's like your integrity gets knocked, and it's vital. Because when your integrity falls away, your confidence will also fall away. Because integrity and confidence go hand in hand. And then when your confidence goes a little bit, you get humbled. And in getting humbled, you find humility. And when you really find humility, you can restore your integrity. All right, you know what it is. If you want to talk, we can talk. There's a link, Calendly link, with all the times that I'm open to take on discovery calls. And in those discovery calls, we will talk about your challenges. We will talk about anything that's wrong. We will talk about whatever you want to talk about, really. And it's free of charge. Just want to, start talking to the people who are listening to this type of thing and just hear what you got going on. If you want to vent, if you just want to talk out a situation, let me know. The Calendly link is there. Instagram, I am Coach Colin. Email, coachcolin3@gmail.com. And that's it for the podcast. I'm out. Peace.